It's time to hear the story, make the connection, learn the lesson, and gain the wisdom. Are you ready? Let's get charged and be changed. The Sister Speak Brother Break Show. Conversations on grace, healing, and deliverance. This is Marcy Bush. Come on, let's journey together.
If your walls could talk, what would they tell us on your behalf?
They would probably say that he tries really, really hard, even when he feels depressed, that he tries really hard to not be. They probably would say that sometimes he feels lonely because being different means that you're not always a part of things, or you aren't always invited. And they probably would just say that even with all of that, he tries to just really be okay, though. They probably would talk about how I do cope with the depression when I'm alone, how I do try to find ways to cope with it, how sometimes I don't feel productive, how sometimes it's hard for me to get out of bed, how some days I don't really feel like talking, how difficult it is sometimes to put on a smile and come outside, how his room is extremely dark. And that's the whole thing, because I do work late hours with graphic design. I bought these blackout curtains because if I'm going to bed at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, I don't want the sun to wake me up.
Right.
So I bought these blackout curtains, and I doubled them.
Okay.
So my bedroom is extremely dark. And what started out initially as a tool to help me get sleep after I've worked all night sometimes turns into a cave. So my walls would probably say that he retreats to the cave sometimes because he doesn't feel like doing anything. But I think that they will also, like I said already, keep saying he tries, though. He really does try to make it work.
Right.
And if he can get out of the room, if he can get out of the house, then he'll put on the smile, and
Which leads me, because that was the other thing I was do you think that the ability to lights, camera, action, is it as much your friend as it is your enemy?
It's both equally, because it allows me to be okay for the time being, but it also allows or doesn't allow other people to see that I'm not okay. So I can put the smile on, even if I'm depressed, driving all the way to the location. Once I get to the location and open the door, put the smile on, get ready, let's go, let's do it. And then get back in the car, close the door, and be depressed all the way back home.
Yes.
So yes, it is definitely equally my friend and my enemy.
Because it at least gives, even though you got to put it on, it gives a break from the darkness. There are some things that God wants all of us in.
Yeah.
Like, I need all of that spot. And you're not going to feel it with nobody.
And even when I was a teenager, I had the I felt rejected. I've always wanted a group of friends. Like, that's what I've always wanted. I've always just wanted to have, like, I watch them on movies and on TV shows where these people have like 6 friends and they go together on trips.
Make this pact.
And I always wanted that. And like, I never was able to like get that. And in teenage and early 20s, I kind of was isolated, and I spent a lot of time at home in my room, but I would perfect my gift of singing. I would be in my room, I would listen to music, and a lot of people talk about how good my ear is when it comes to music and hearing parts and stuff. Like, I literally was just alone. Like, that's really what it was. And so, like, I, by default, took the time to study music. And that's kind of where, you know, that safety is, unless, you know, I'm dealing with depression. And it's easy for people to just be like, oh, just get out of it. Like, snap out of it.
Right.
Like, just get yourself together, get dressed and go, and you'll be fine. But that's not how it works all the time.
Right.
Like, sometimes it's a full-fledged fight.
Oh, it is.
To just get up. And I remember when I went to Miranda Curtis live recording. This was at the beginning of 2020. And it was in Canada, and we were there, and one of the guest singers that was there, they were talking about their bout with depression, and they were talking about how it still exists and how they still have trouble getting out of bed. And I remember thinking, like, oh my God, like, so, because people will make you feel like, well, you saved, like, you're delivered. And I remember even when my dad would say he thought salvation would take care of his anger, and it didn't. And he had to put in the work.
Yes.
And you know how he always tells us that if we figure out what happened, we can stop why, you know, it's
If you can find the why, you can stop
the what. And so, but he never tells us this is how you do that. It's up to us to find that.
Yeah.
It's up to us to find it. And I feel like with therapy, that's helping me find like what it is and why.
Right.
You know,
Right.
I'm putting the strategy to the battle. And so yeah, but
It's a journey. It's a journey to wholeness. And we have to, like, you have to want it. You know, one of the things I found with depression too, it knocked hard one day this week. And the way I knew it knocked hard was, I don't want to talk. That's always, Lord, I can talk my way through anything, because when I put words to it, it's like the puzzle pieces come together. When I am like, I don't want to talk. And I could feel myself like on the hill, and I could feel like this is a slippery slope. And I remember for me, and so honey, when you talk about the blackout curtains, I remember my room at my mama's house used to be so dark. Like, I always wanted it dark. Sleeping, that was my thing. That's how you knew I was depressed. Now I can sleep. I can sleep to a day if I had the opportunity. If you gave me 5 minutes right now, I'd go sleep in the car. But the other day, I remember just it feeling like so much. The voices were so loud. One of the things that I found with depression too is, even though it sounds ugly, depression is self-centered.
yeah.
We fall into depression when it's, I don't feel like I'm being seen. I don't feel like anybody wants to be around me. Why do they treat me? And so it is so self-centered. And I've found that if you can get outside of yourself and do something for someone else. Now, yes, it's best to get out, but that is an initial step to moving. The other thing I have found that sometimes sleep allows me to hit a reset button.
Yeah.
And what I had to do last week was when the voices were loud of everything I didn't have and everything I should have by now and everything I'm not doing and everything that's so hard and why you and why this and why. And it was just like screaming in both ears. And I just felt like a failure for a while. I felt like I ain't got nothing I ought to have. When is it gonna come? God keep talking about this dream, and I know He promised. Where they at? You know, so all of that comes, and then I was like, Bush, what you doing? And I was sitting on my sofa, and before I knew it, I was asleep, sitting up, sleep. And I don't know if I slept for 15 or 20 minutes. And when I woke up, I was like, oh, let me get to work. And I started, and the voices started talking, and I was like, let me. It became intentional. When it's depression, you have to be intentional.
You have
if
to be.
you're not intentional, that thing will become like a straitjacket.
Right.
It is a bully.
Yep.
Depression is a bully.
And I learned that early on. I didn't quite know what it was, so I let it bully me. I let it take over me. I let it keep me down for days, weeks, months.
Yes.
And now I'm actually learning how to not allow it to do that to me. And one part I think I didn't mention earlier, because you had talked about pivotal, but the biggest pivotal moment with as far as the suicide stuff goes. So to the end of 2007, I had been experiencing a whole bunch of stuff. There was things that had happened in my friend group. There were things that was going on with my grandfather. He had been diagnosed with cancer. And that whole thing was going on with that stuff too, or whatever. And there was just a lot going on. There was a lot of pressure on me that had happened. I had been hurt again, over and over again, just within that year.
Right.
With just a bunch of different situations so that people had presented me with. And I had to basically decide that's it. I'm done. December 31st, I'm out of here. But what happened was my brother and my sister-in-law, well, she wasn't my sister-in-law at the time, but they were expecting their first child. And so in my mind, I was like, well, I can't take my life on the 31st because they're saying that the child is going to be born. I think originally they said the 7th, January 7th or something like that. So I'm like, I'll wait a couple of days, let the child be born. At least I can see my nephew, and then that's it for me. I'm out of here. He was born on January 5th, 2008. And I remember I went to the hospital, and I think my brother asked me, did I want to hold him? And I put him in my arms, and almost instantly, my mind changed about taking my life. I'm like, this little guy is here, and like, I want to see what he's going to become. I want to see who he's going to be.
Yes.
Like I want, like, and I say this all the time. He's 14 now, but he literally saved my life. Like he did. And he's now old enough to understand. So I can sit down and talk to him about it, even though he probably won't care. but I can sit down with him and talk to him about how he saved my life. But that didn't stop suicidal thoughts from coming or depression from coming. But one of the things that I did, my best friend, and he also dealt with suicide attempts and suicidal thoughts. One of the things we did was we made a pact, an agreement that no matter how difficult it gets, no matter how hard it gets, we will never take our lives. That's never on the table anymore. So we made that agreement. And so when suicidal thoughts comes for him, he remembers, I can't do this because of the agreement that I made. I do the same. I can't do that because of the agreement that I made. And so we made that pact and that agreement. And so no matter how depressed I may get, suicide is never an option for me. It's never an option for me.
And which reminds me of something else that I wanted to say, even about that. Because we talk about how when it comes to depression, you know, people be like, it's not as easy as just. No. But at the same time, we do have a choice. We have a choice with every moment. Yes. We have a choice. And I think that's what God, like, it's almost like my pulse, like it keeps reminding me. And it's almost to the point of, God, why are you reminding me of this so much? In everything. We don't have a choice about what comes to us. But we have a choice about how we respond to what comes to us. Anything that comes in my space, even God forbid, if I were diagnosed with something on Monday or tomorrow, I might not be able to change the diagnosis, but I have the choice of how I deal with what I've been told. And I think that's something like that I'm just praying that we can get, that every day, you know, I need to and I guess this is almost like me telling myself, because I've gotten to the point where every morning when I wake up, I say, thank you. Thank you, God, for letting me see another day. But I need to say, thank you, God, for letting me see another day. And thank you for reminding me that I have a choice. Whatever comes my way today, I got a choice.
I have a choice. I was telling one of my friends just recently about situations that were going on with him. And I was telling them, you can't control what happened. You can't control how it came to you, how it was presented to you. You cannot control what they said. You can't control how they said it.
Right.
The only thing you have control over is how you respond. And if you don't control how you respond, then there's no control left. Like you're out of control now. And it's just what you said, like every day it's a choice. Like you can make a choice. So I have to make a choice. Okay, yeah, I don't feel my best today. I feel slightly depressed, but I have a choice to make now. Am I going to sit here and allow it to just overtake me or become overwhelmed, or am I going to get up and at least fight? That's the choice that I have to make. I got to at least fight. I'm not going to just lay down.
That's right. I ain't going to take this laying down.
No.
Never will you ever take me out, devil.
No.
Never. If there was something, if you had a billboard for all the world to see, like, and the billboard was going to be like the pick for this conversation we're having, what would you want to put on that billboard?
I survived. I survived. Because as critical as it was for me, a lot of people don't know. And obviously I don't even have time to tell the nitty gritty of the trauma really involved with it or whatever, but I survived. And if I survived, so can you. Like you can also survive.
Yes. Well, I'm gonna ask some questions. There was one I saw. Where is it? And it's it may be challenging, it may not be challenging to you. And I want more than a yes or no.
Okay.
Are you holding on to something that you need to let go of?
Yes. Yes. I think that I'm learning now through therapy how to let that stuff go. Because here's the thing. With therapy, it opens or reopens things that you thought that you were over. And so therapy is good for me, and sometimes it's bad, because when I leave the therapy session, I just told somebody this morning, when I leave the therapy session, there's an open wound dealing with something that I should let go. But now, say for example, if it was you, I'm gonna use you as an example. If you hurt me and I go to therapy and I end up talking about something you did 10 years ago, and therapy opened it up again, but now I have to see you tomorrow, but I have to deal with the now and the 10 year ago feelings that came back. And so therapy is helping me learn that there are so many things that I am holding on to that I have to let go. Like I have to let them go. And the process of that is my own process, is my own journey. But at the end of the day, I do have to let it go.
Do you think you might need to even be strategic? And I'm just asking, I don't know. But do you think it may help if you could possibly be strategic about when your sessions are, so that you're not right back out into the world, but that after a session, you actually have time to say, okay, God, I saw that come up today. What we gonna do about that? And kind of have an opportunity to put some salve on it at least before you boom.
Yeah, I think eventually I'll be able to do that. Right now I've been going because I've been like, I need to talk. I need to talk to you.
Like bump the time period.
Like just get me in. I'm going once a month. And I'm just like, no, I just need to tell you what's going on, and I just need you to tell me, well, not necessarily tell me what to do, but like help me figure out what it is that I need to do. But yes, there are moments where I will sit in my car for like an hour after my therapy session in the parking lot, just sitting there, allowing myself to kind of close off a little bit before I actually do go back out into the real world, because it's difficult to deal with the now and the then at the same time.
And what's funny, not funny, is that so many times we find, yeah, we find that the things that are the most painful are from the ones that we love the most, that we can't get away from.
No, you have
That we
to
can't,
see them.
like, you got to deal with it. You got to deal with it.
Yeah.
And even if you put them in a different place in your life, even if it's still like, but you got to deal with this. If you're going to be healthy and whole, you got to deal with this. And one thing I want to say too is how I'm so glad that there are people who are not afraid to say, I am in therapy. And at the same time, like, so that people can know, because like you said, people be like, I ain't crazy. You're crazy if you don't get some help from somewhere. And like you said, it goes beyond, beside. I don't even want to say beyond. It goes beside prayer. It goes beside the scripture, because you got to walk it out. It ain't enough to shout. No. You're going to have to walk. After you finish shouting, you're going to have to walk this thing out.
Just like Dr. Phillips said, it's the weapon and the strategy. Like, that's how you win the war.
And don't be afraid to approach it from several ways. Get yourself covered. And I'm So let me see. One more question. You looked into the heart of your enemy. What do you think you would find that is different from what's in your own heart?
Probably, even though I've covered layers of my heart a lot, but I think if I looked into the heart of my enemy, I don't think they have the type of love and compassion that I have for even them. I don't think that they would view me that same way. They don't have that love and compassion in their heart. And I know sometimes I can come across as closed, but if they could look into my heart, they would see that it's really still love for them and compassion for them. I don't think they have that in their heart for me.
And is there anything that maybe, because I know, like I said, we could talk forever and ever and ever, but is there anything maybe that we haven't covered that you would like to speak on or encourage someone with? Or even if we've covered it, but it's something that you forgot to say?
Yeah, not really. It's just ultimately, I want people to understand that they're not alone. Like, I want people to know that they're not the only ones that are going through something. And because I know I felt like I was. I didn't know that I wasn't. And there was a period of time in our lives when we used to do family prayer on my dad's side of the family, and they started exposing all kinds of things that was happening. It's just like, so I'm not the first person that dealt with that. I'm not the first person that went through that. And I just hope that, in this conversation, that people actually realize and understand that they're not the only persons that are only people that are going through that. They're not alone. They're not by themselves. Like, there is hope. And there is light at the end of the tunnel. Even though right now you may have your head down and you can barely lift it, if you can just at some point get up enough strength to lift your head, you can see that there's light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes. Because, one thing that I also, and it's based off what you reminded me. I've heard it 2, 3, 4 times. But it's like you reminded me. My prayer is always that our conversations will spark conversations. Because like you said, therapy reminds you of things that have happened. And it's this weird part of me that some of the things that have impacted me the most, I be like, do they remember that? I wonder if they remember what they said to me. Or I remember if they, and so many times, like you said, we just move on. And some of our worst moments, we hope that the other person forgot it, so we never address it. Or even if there wasn't an offense that was done, there's still multiple perspectives on the same thing. And so my prayer is always that people not just watch the show and keep it moving, but if at some point during the show there is a light bulb that comes on, don't go pull the chain and turn it off.
Right. Right.
There may be a time, like, address the thing.
Yeah.
I feel like there is, it's almost like, how do I put it? There's a responsibility that comes along with maturity.
Yeah, absolutely.
And sometimes I remember, as others have sat across from me and we've talked, my prayer has been that there will be a conversation after this conversation, that we can get better, that we can own up to things we've done that were not right, that we can explain, that we can, even if it was, oh man, I don't know if you was talking about me or not, but let me tell you this. You know, I remember when, or you know, I just want us to have conversations that help us get whole.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, the trauma is not your fault. The trauma is not your fault, but the healing is your responsibility.
Yes, absolutely.
Like, you have to take responsibility for the healing part of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Terrell, although I know in the beginning you're like, thank you for thinking and praying and in the right timing. I always believe that when it's supposed to happen, it will. And so I'm glad that we had this opportunity, because you're a man that I trust. I know when we sit at the table for some other conversations and some round table discussions, square table, whatever kind of table we're going to have, I know that I'll have you back. And I don't know how long this thing is going to go on before God pulls the plug, but I know we're always evolving, always growing and maturing. And so I'm sure the people will see you again. And I just want to thank you for allowing yourself to be vulnerable and for sharing your story, because I know that it's helped someone.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. So y'all, I want to thank you for joining us for the Sister Speak Brother Break show. Share this with someone, because I know that something was said that can help somebody in your life. Prayerfully, it helps you. And I know it'll help someone else. So share it. And I'm not talking about sharing it because I want likes or subscribers. That would be nice. But that's not the reason why. The reason why is because I want this story to reach someone else and help someone else. What we've lived through was not just for us. It was for someone else to get help as well. So thank y'all for stopping by. I hope to see you same place, same time next week on the Sister Speak Brother Break show. Be blessed.
Thanks so much for joining us today. If you've been blessed by today's show, feel free to let us know. And if you'd like to sow into this ministry, become a sponsor, or contact us, you can reach us at 803-221-0169. Or you can email us at thessbbshow@gmail.com. Let's continue this journey together.